Hey everybody, it's Monica with your best female figure, and today I'm going to share dozens of yoga poses that are great for weight loss, fat loss, fitness, health, and a positive body image. So as you can see from my pictures, I love yoga. I've been doing it for nearly 10 years, and I consider myself intermediate level. As you're going to see at the end of the video, I struggle with some of the more advanced poses, but the thing about it is that I don't do it because I'm trying to be fantastic at yoga. I do it because it helps to release all that built up tension from your workouts, all the stress that you have on a weekly basis. And having less stress in your body and less tension is going to help you burn more fat every single day, and it's also going to help you to have healthier habits every day. Okay, so this is what I teach my clients how to do at the end of their workouts. You don't have to do yoga for a bunch of hours, several times a week in order to get the flexibility and the stress relief. So basically, I start them out in a cat dog position, and then I have them go, press up into a down dog. And if my clients are more intermediate to advanced, then I'll have them raise, one leg up into a single leg down dog, which is an amazing hamstring stretch, and it also is a good stretch for the hip flexors and the abs. And once you hold that stretch for 3 breaths, that's all you have to do on each side, and then you just shift into the next stretch that you're going to do. So you don't need to follow any kind of yoga flow or any kind of practice, that predetermined practice or anything like that. You can basically just shift from one stretch to the next that feels comfortable to you. I find that going from down dog into a side angle is actually fairly easy for a lot of people, because they can just sweep that foot forward into a deep lunge and then sweep the arm up and just shift, transition into that side position. If you do not have really good flexibility in your hips and in your inner thighs, you might struggle with this a little bit, so you may need a yoga block, or you may need to bend that front knee a little bit, and that's fine. Just adjust whatever stretch that you're watching to fit your fitness level or to fit your particular situation. It really isn't that hard to modify something to make it work for your body. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to do all the arm positions that you're watching. Those are kind of more advanced, especially the binding positions that open up your chest more. You don't need to do that, especially if you have kind of shoulder problems, or you're not that flexible in the chest and shoulders yet. Work up to those things. You definitely don't want to hurt your shoulder or your elbows trying to get into a bind. It's not necessary. It is really fun once you can do it, and you're gonna feel much deeper stretching once you're able to get into binds, but don't rush it. Just do what is right for your body, and then progress slowly. You'll know when it's right time to start adding those more advanced arm positions. Okay, so I just transitioned from all types of triangle poses into side angle pose. There's different levels of this pose, arm on the thigh, hand on the floor, hand behind the foot, arms, twisting around the back and under the leg. Pick something that works for you and use a yoga block. Yoga blocks are incredibly helpful if you're trying to go from kind of a more beginner into intermediate yoga stretch. They are very useful, and they do help you to get to that next level easily without hurting yourself. Also, if you need a break between your stretches, you can just press back in a down dog and hold that for a little bit, or you can just come down to the hands and knees and take a few breaths and then continue with your stretching routine. Okay, so once you do a few, standing stretches, then you want to start adding some twisting into your poses. You can do twists from standing positions, you can do them seated, you can also do them laying down. And not only are they great for relieving low back tension and hip tension, but they're also great for digestion, which increases your fat burning and speeds up your metabolism and your weight loss. When you're working on twisting poses, make sure that you are turning from the core and the rib cage, and that you're breathing out as you twist into the pose. That way you're releasing all that tension from, the core and the low back, and your shoulders aren't going to feel any of that pressure, and you're going to be able to stretch a little bit deeper. One of the things that my clients struggle with in the very beginning is holding their breath. They don't think about releasing their breath as they're in a pose, and that's really important because that's what helps you get into a pose a little bit deeper and without feeling strain. If you've had some type of serious low back injury, you may want to stay away from twisting poses. They do place a lot of strain on your spine, and that can be a bad thing if you have disc problems or any other serious problem, spinal stenosis. Definitely consult with your doctor to make sure that it's okay for you to do these poses. Yoga is a very user-friendly type of exercise, but you can still get seriously injured even doing some of the easier poses. I do have clients who cannot and should not do certain stretches because it actually will worsen some of their conditions that they're struggling with. So be very careful when choosing the types of exercises or yoga poses that you're doing to stretch your body after your workouts. Okay, so once you have some nice release in the hamstrings and the quads and the low back and core, you're going to want to move on to some deeper hip stretches. So pigeon is probably the most famous of all the hip openers. You can do it laying down, you can do it from seated, you can add a twist to it, you can also do it from a standing position, which I did not film. I totally forgot to film that version, but you saw it in my previous video. So and it's a really great stretch that you actually need to be able to do in order to do some of the more advanced arm balances. If you don't have good hip flexibility, you're never going to be able to do some of the more advanced yoga poses, and if you want to start doing more advanced yoga, then definitely work on your hip openers often. Do it, every other day. It's one of the most important stretches that I teach my clients, especially my older clients who struggle with hip pain. If you're a total beginner, you don't need to go as deep as I'm going in pigeon. The pigeon that you see most people doing, where they're just kind of laying forward, is actually the prep. What I'm doing in, by twisting and bringing my heel all the way up to my butt, is the full pose. And you don't need to be able to do that to get the benefit. As a matter of fact, if you can't even get down on the floor because you have any kind of problem, you can do it on a chair, or you can do it standing up, holding onto a rail or some kind of strap from, a doorway. It's a very versatile stretch, and it's probably the stretch that I make my clients do the most. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm wearing running shoes and I'm not wearing fancy yoga clothes. Those are two things that my clients stress out about a lot. For some reason, they think they need to spend a lot of money on yoga clothes, or they worry about practicing barefoot. You can do yoga anywhere. You can wear whatever you want. All you need to do is focus on breathing and relaxing while you're doing your yoga stretches. That's really the most important thing. You can even practice in your pajamas if you want to before going to bed, which is something that I do quite often. Alright, so once you get some good hip release, you can move on to some deeper stretches like gait pose, which is a great pose for inner thigh and upper back flexibility. You can do gait pose from seated, you can do it from kneeling, or you can do more advanced versions that are really fun because they feel like you're flying. Another really great thing about gait pose is that it helps you get better at arm balances. So when you can learn how to support weight on your arms from a safe position, you feel more confident when you're trying some of the more advanced arm balances that are really, really fun and that activate your core a lot more for increased fat burning during your fat loss workouts. Now, one thing that you're going to notice while you're doing poses on each side is that one side is going to have more mobility and more flexibility than the other one. Everybody is like that. They have one side that's stronger, one side that's weaker. We all have imbalances, and that's why it's important to work on the bad side a little bit longer. So if you find that you're struggling to release on one side more, then take more time on that side. Maybe take a few extra breaths. Maybe go to the good side and then go back to the bad side again and work on that side a little bit more. So once you are done with some of those deeper stretches for the inner thighs and upper body, you can move back up to standing poses that require balance and that also open up the entire front of the body. These are really great for strength training, especially with weight loss and fat loss workouts that require a lot of quick movement. They're going to help you to be able to do jumping lunges and lateral lunges where you're shifting all your weight onto one leg, and any type of exercise that requires leaping from one side to another. You're going to find that stuff gets so much easier because you have improved balance from all these balance poses. If you have trouble with balance because you have some kind of hip instability, or because you just don't practice it enough, or maybe you have some other kind of issue that makes you dizzy, that you can't hold a balance pose, then you can do these same poses on the floor. You can do them kneeling, and you can also do them laying face down. And that is a great way to open up the front of the body a little bit more and to get used to the idea of supporting all your weight on one side of the body. Even though you're supported by the floor, you're still kind of practicing shifting that weight around from one side to the other. So there's other versions of this if you can't do the standing ones. Okay, so once you are done stretching your entire body, you can practice some arm balances, which are great for core stability. Remember that the more core stability you have, the better that you can move when you're doing your fat burning and weight loss workouts, and the more efficiently that you can move, the more calories and fat you burn, and the better results that you get from all your workouts. You can try crow or crane. You can try side planks with legs in all types of positions. And if you're really advanced, then you can try going from a really intense pose into more advanced arm balance, like I'm doing at the end. I'm trying to go from sundial into 8 angle, which has been a huge challenge for me, but I just have fun with it. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you visit the site and blog for more information on all these stretches or any other yoga practices that I've uploaded. I'll be back soon with more great workouts to help you make over your body. Thanks for watching.